What is up, world? This is Kimberly and Connor Tracy over here at Big Red SEO on this happy Friday. It's November Friday. The sun is out in Omaha, Nebraska. Hopefully the sun is out wherever you're located, and or maybe some people don't like the sun. I was recently talking with somebody and their favorite season was fall/winter. So who knows?
There is an Adam Sandler song called The Sun, and it's all about how the sun is bad. F the sun. And yeah,
is that how we're going to start today's episode? Like,
I'm just saying, if you're going to talk about the sun, hey, Adam Sandler has a song. It's worth listening to if you're an Adam Sandler fan. So
I used to be an Adam Sandler fan. I was gonna mess up his last name. Back in my 20s and 30s, I still watch him, but what I notice is a lot of his comedy is exactly the same. It's like a different role, but it's the same. But kudos to him for being known for those specific things, right?
Yep.
And I think he's doing a lot more directing and producing in the background too for different stuff. So, yeah. Well, hey, thanks so much for tuning in.
Welcome.
Either live or replay. Today, we're going to dive deep into one-page websites. As you guys know, if you've been following us for a while, we've been running this gig over here, husband and wife team, for over 9 years. Our specialties are going to always be WordPress website design, SEO, as well as pay-per-click. It's kind of our superpowers. We actually had a really cool prospect meeting yesterday morning, and it was interesting how we kind of like displayed that and explained that. Like, out of all the things that we do know how to do, the three things where we love spending the most time are those three elements. So, of course, with us being that niche, we wanted to bring some information to you. So in case you have a one-page website, and or maybe you were thinking about building a website, but you're like, hey, I only have enough information for one page. Or what happens a lot of times is people will go out to other websites, look at what other people are doing. They start to emulate what they see online. But what we found out through all these years is that's not always the best practice. If you tuned in the last couple handfuls of weekly recaps, you know that this guy got to go to the Google campus and learn some information direct from the source. So we're going to add some tidbits with that as well. But before we start, because we are husband and wife, little confession, Connor shaved today and he put on aftershave. And as he goes to get into the car for our last meeting, I like smell it immediately. So I might naturally in the middle of the video come over and go, because it smells really good, guys. Really, really, really good. See, he's going red. Look, he's going red. Oh, look. Did you guys see the Irish red? His baby blues just pop when he gets nervous.
I've got a response, but if I say what the response is, then somebody will take that as being a literal response, and then they'll have issues with it.
Yeah, so we'll just leave it at that. That Connor's normal. I'm sure on his personal page, his actual response will come out one way or another.
The good news is I can get my right hand. Nobody can see my right hand or my left hand, and I can just jam you in the side. See?
He just hit me in the boob. So in case anybody wanted to know, he just jabbed me in the boob. No, so like on your Facebook, your personal, he put either yesterday or this morning, it was something about his version of flirting was being so sarcastic to see if you can handle it. And I was like, 100% truth. That's what Connor does in the world.
The extreme of sarcasm. But, you know, either you can handle it or you can't.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it is. So, yeah. Some days I'm hungry, angry, lonely, tired. It doesn't go too well. I think I go for a lot of walks on those days, but then I like, it's just you. And yeah, we kind of make it work. So let's go ahead and dive in. Connor, really quick. So one question I had immediately by somebody that knew that we were going to be doing this subject is, what is a one-page website?
Sorry.
Let's try this one more time because the dog growled. He was like, Connor, go. Okay, so Connor, what is a one-page website?
So one-page, there's a couple different versions of a one-page website, but essentially it's everything on a single page. So when you're talking about like a landing page, for example, that's a one-page page.
Yeah.
So everything on there gets across all the information. The user doesn't need to go anywhere else. That is an awesome landing page. They've got all the information they need, a sign-up form or a buy now button, and off they go. That's a page.
Yeah.
Now, a one-page website is literally, it's one page. You've got, usually at the top, you've got an image, then you've got some sort of call to action, you've got some sort of information, contact hours, a map, and then the footer.
Right.
And That's it. It's one long page. Now, a lot of people are putting navigation at the top. You'll have about, and you'll have services, and you'll have
team
and information
reviews.
like that. But when you click on that, it just jumps down the page.
Right.
So it doesn't actually go to a different page. So when I talk about the context of a one-page website, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a landing page. I'm not talking about a staging website.
Yeah.
You know, there are some businesses where a one page is perfectly fine. That you don't need anything more than one page.
Right.
But most businesses need, the general rule is 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah.
You've got your home, about, services, contact, and something else.
Testimonials. Another really good one is FAQs, so frequently asked questions. You can never have too many frequently asked questions. We actually had a project meeting last night, and we did the FAQs, and they did really good. So one element to highlight, just a side note, is if you do frequently asked questions, when you write the answers, make sure your personality actually shines through on the questions. Try not to just do the generic black and white, yes, no, and then a little bitty sentence, because believe it or not, people will go and learn more about you, whether you have a cancellation policy, do you require payment up front, how do you do your interview process, like what is the process, if they have questions, who do they contact, that sort of thing. So the frequently asked questions is a really good area to kind of story tell and give information that highlights your personality versus generic stuff. And the cool part, side note again, on the frequently asked questions, if you do it with really good detail and you put really good finesse to it and step forward as an industry leader, you have the opportunity of showing up into the Google area for the questions and the answers. So it's kind of like a double twofold. And with your experience over at the Google campus, it was highlighted that it's really important for people to not just create content to create it. It has to have an intention behind it, if that makes sense.
Definitely. The intention is a big part. And when it comes to those frequently asked questions, there's two things. There's the frequently asked questions, and then there is the question and answer, which are two totally different things.
Yeah. Can you explain that real quick for those? No. Okay. There might have to be a separate area that we'll go back through.
Yeah. There's questions that people will ask, and it's just a standard Q&A, whereas the frequently asked questions are more business focused end of things. But if you look inside of the when you do a search and you've got a business information, let's say you do a search for Big Red SEO, for example. On the right-hand side of Google, there is what's called the knowledge panel, and that's got your images, some business information. It's got a couple of questions and answers in there. So that's where the Q&A goes. And there's a formatting called schema markup, and that's for question and answers. Those can actually feed into that area too. You can manually put them in, and I encourage you to do so.
Right.
But with frequently asked questions, with the information that goes on the website itself, if you add schema markup in there for the frequently asked questions, then that information can go at the top of the organic section.
Okay.
So you've probably done a search. Let's say you're looking for best SEO company in Omaha,
right?
For example. Do that search and then click our business name. Let's say you do that search, and then it'll usually show 4 or 5 different questions and answers that other people may have typed in, or related kind of searches. That information comes off of the individual pages.
Right.
So I've kind of gone off track of what a one-page website is.
So here's the deal: is we get really, I get asked a lot, what is the difference between a one-page website and a microsite? Can you explain that?
A microsite.
Yeah.
What's your definition on the microsite?
I don't know. Somebody always asks that question. What's the difference between one page? So how I've always looked at it is, one page could easily be like, say that you just need a website to feature a brochure, or say that you need a website to give your resume, or you're looking for a specific client, a specific project, right? It could kind of be a landing page as well. Maybe it's just got basic information, a contact form, and then you're good to go, right? Versus a microsite might be a website that's like 1 to 2 pages or 1 to 3 pages, right? And then a full website design could be anywhere between 5 to 7 pages. In the full website design, it's more of you're highlighting the entire business, the entire services. You're actually providing more value in details and information, if that makes sense. Versus a microsite might just be a homepage that highlights the business and the services you have, and then a contact page, right? Mm-hmm. So that's usually how I classify it. I guess I should have just answered the question myself, because Connor's like, what's a microsite? I don't know.
Hey, Bruce, thanks for joining.
Yeah. Hey, Bruce. So the thing is like for you in any form of business, you have to decide what kind of what's the intention of the website, right? And then what kind of website do you actually need? And then we always recommend in the game plan when we work with strategies, we always ask people, where do they see themselves in 3, 6 months, 12 months down the way, right? Because there is a way to actually build the website to where your end goal is, right? You can actually look, we don't want you necessarily to look bigger. We don't want you to falsify the information. However, what happens is a lot of times whenever we work with people, they're really humble and they don't want to actually say what their superpowers are. They don't want to say what they're really, really good at, or they fear like there's some kind of like thing behind it of featuring all the information that they know. But actually the search engines specifically want all of that information because they're actively seeking. And the reason why they go in and have so many updates is they're cutting out all the bullshit that people are doing and all the areas that they're trying to cheat the systems, if that makes sense. So they can actually jump forward and provide data and information that's quality. Mm-hmm. Because they just want to connect the end users with whether they're purchasing or whether they're researching or trying to find information. Does that make sense?
It does. So when you're talking about the micro websites, so one of the things in both the gray hat world and the black hat world, and buying and selling backlinks and things like that, which is all gray and black hat. Yeah.
No matter which way you try to throw it, it's gray or black hat.
But essentially, one of the things they talk about is the 2.0 websites or 2.0 Web 2.0 links. Yeah. And what they are, generally what people have done is they'll go to WordPress.com. That allows you to get a subdomain .wordpress.com. Yep. You put a one-page website in there. Let's say you're doing locksmiths, because that's a really spammy industry. Right. And people will set up 40 or 50 of these websites, generate what's called a link wheel, where you have all these different websites pointing back and forth to each other. Yeah. That helps manipulate the search engines.
That's like an old school SEO too.
It's really old school. But each one of those would be a micro website, usually 1 or 2 pages, maybe a couple of blog posts, spam, do whatever it is in there to get that link. And then using that to point off to what's called your money site or your real website. Right. But as the years have gone on, Google is very quick to catch on what's happening. Mm-hmm. So they know when a link wheel is being implemented. They know PBNs, which are private backlink networks. Right. They know once they get into one of those, it can expose the entire network and take the whole thing down. Right. So it's usually short-lived. But those micro websites, we see them now more for Google AdWords. Yep. Where somebody will put some money into Google Ads, send it to a landing page, a one-page website with some basic information, a phone number and a contact form, and nothing else. And that would be my extreme definition of a microsite, opposed to a one-page website. That is different.
So can I ask you something? Because we have within our world of Facebook as well as Life, we have a lot of friends that are real estate agents. Mm-hmm. So they have the umbrella of the big company that they're working for. So the actual company, right? And then they have their own team within that. So if somebody was starting and they wanted to go away from the umbrella, just traditional website, right? Because we do know that even with these companies being bigger, which we're not going to say the specific names, there's some limitation on them being able to actually manipulate and change stuff. Like there's certain rules that they have to abide by, if that makes sense. So with that, like say that there is a real estate agent or a team, like actually let's back up, just one real estate agent, maybe it's not a team, and they want to have their own individual website. Would you recommend it to be a one-page website? Would you recommend it to be like kind of a full-blown website? From an SEO perspective, what would be the benefit from the Google terms of service and Google best practices for them to start ranking in a really competitive industry?
Sure. Well, so the last part of your statement is what, I mean, that, what would you do in order to be able to rank competitively against others? Yeah. At that point, it's a full-blown website. Yeah. Up until that point, the question would have been, what was the purpose of the website to start with? Right. So if it's really just a brochure website, it's kind of one of those things in the real estate world, you have to have a business card.
Yeah.
A lot of businesses you don't, but in the real estate world, you have to have a business card.
Yeah.
So then you need a website at the bottom of that to go with it. So we'll take Remax because that's a national company. And there you go. See, Kim has a heart attack every time I mention a brand.
We are not getting paid by any affiliates.
We're not at all.
FYI.
But I have worked with Remax websites years ago. They have a lot of restrictions on what their agents can do. Their agents cannot actually build a separate website. It has to be part of the Remax.
Which we may not know that since the end of 2019.
Right.
Previously.
So back then, at least when I had experience with them and when we were working together.
Right.
But they had their own branding restrictions, corporate restrictions. Everything had to be under that umbrella, just that one place.
Right.
Now you've got other big companies. Here we go. Watch her face.
My pits are sweating, y'all. If you don't know me yet, my pits have started to sweat. So he's going to jab me in the boob here in a second.
The two big ones that are national, you've got Keller Williams. Keller Williams is huge. That's all over the U.S. And then you've got...
you are just... Is this your version of flirting? Like you're going outside the box?
I'm just seeing how far I can go.
No, now I'm the one turning red, y'all. Now I'm the one turning red. My arms are itching. Everything in me is itching right now.
So the other big one is our buddy Warren's website, Berkshire Hathaway. So again, national companies. Those guys...
We are not getting paid an affiliate from any of these companies, FYI.
But listening,
just keep saying no.
My address is 2111 67th. So anyways, with those larger...
You might not get fed tonight.
I might not, yeah. With those larger real estate companies, not that the other ones are not large, but they do allow you to have your own individual website.
Yeah.
Now, they also have what's called an API. So it allows you to build your own skeleton of a website. Then you can tie into their back end and export out any of the properties you might be managing or listing, or my buddy Warren. Thanks, Emily. You understand, Emily.
Just go to the ice cream shop. You'll find them in the ice cream shop.
But basically, you can then export or import any of the properties you might be managing or anything like that.
Yeah.
So a one-page website in that respect works really, really well because you're just showing who the person is, so who the agent is,
right.
Some basic information to contact them, maybe a map or a service area, and then a handful of listings, and then a link off to the master website if somebody needs more information. So if you're in the real estate world, since Kim decided to use that as an example, you can have a one-page website, and it's not a problem.
I thought this was going to go totally different. I didn't think there was going to be name drops. I'm like feeling really nervous right now. I'm like, I feel like I'm going to go for a run. Anyway, that's a good analogy. So you got some comments. What's going on?
So I don't have my glasses, so now I've got to lean all the way in to see.
We were talking about earlier about him being an old man, and he's like, I don't have my glasses. I can't read.
If I put my glasses on, the lights all shine back. So anyways, we got a comment here from Dorina. I do have a one-page site. I'm shopping in Boston, definitely coming back tonight to watch. Oh, cool. Very cool. Yeah. Enjoy Boston. Hopefully the wind and the rain and everything else hasn't started yet. Also, Barb is in here. Kim, he's speaking to the audience and providing good example. It's all right.
We're not getting paid by the affiliates of this names. That's all I got to say.
Barb missed the letters at the end of it, which were just STFU, but you know. Thanks, Barb.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Okay, so the thing is like with Google and with SEO, like say somebody starts with a one-page website and then they're like, hey, like in the next 3 months, I want to expand it even further. We did at the very beginning of the video, you named a couple different styles of pages to have, right? But if they were to look at it, I want to go back to is it worth them sitting and brainstorming and coming up with a strategy to build a website completely out? And or is it better to do one page at a time from an SEO perspective, building an online presence perspective?
Sure. So there's an old phrase that I used to use when in design, and it was basically good is good enough or done is good enough.
Yeah.
So from that respect, I would launch the website and then just continue to add to it.
Sure.
The nice thing about the web is that you can update a website at any point in time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if you look back years ago, I was in the print world. We had to have advertising done. So we would have to get that done, get that approved by management, get that out to the newspapers a week or 2 weeks ahead of time.
Right.
And then the ad would go out. It better be perfect because there's no going back. If you put the wrong phone number in, too late, it's gone.
Yeah.
With the web, it's a lot more forgiving. So you could sit down one night and write out 4 or 5 paragraphs, and the next day come back and say, that really doesn't feel the way I need it to be.
Right.
Let me get rid of this section and add something else in. And that's perfectly fine to do. So with that regards, if you're starting with a one-page website and then adding on more websites, I encourage you to do that.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait until you have 5 pages, 10 pages, 40 pages, whatever it is. You don't have to wait until everything is done. If you're doing an online store, you don't have to wait for every single product to be in inventory before you decide to launch your website. Yeah. Go ahead and do it in stages. Start with your most popular products first, the ones that you always have in inventory, the ones that you're going to make a good markup on.
Right.
Get those ones in first, launch it, and then add more stuff. But there is nothing wrong with waiting.
Yeah, there is nothing wrong with waiting. So here's the other part too, right? So we realize that a lot of times what happens is a lot of the people that follow us, they're solo or they're entrepreneurs that have a small team. Mm-hmm. We classify them as lean and mean, right? So what the guidance that Conor is giving is actually really, really good information. Like if you need to start small, start small. But here's the area that I'll tell you. If you're just now starting a business or you're already in the business, you're wearing so many hats already that if you have the opportunity to sit down, maybe you already have a one-page website, right? That is good enough for right now. But then I would encourage you to sit down and strategize what information could you actually put together within a weekend, like 24 hours, 48 hours to build that out. So the thought process behind that is when people land on your website, they can actually see that you're already established. It's not just a one-page website that's going to sit there for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, if that makes sense. One area, if I could tell you how many times we have people do this before they engage us, is they say, I built this one-page website and I had the intention of coming back, and then it's crickets. They never go back, right? Mm-hmm. So there's that element of attempt to figure out what is good enough for now, right? Get it launched, get it going, but then realize building an online presence actually takes time, right? And what I mean by that is you need to give the information to the search engines, put it out online, allow those rankings to build, right? Drive traffic to your website. And here's the other thing too, really quick. Social media. So we got asked this week, what's the difference between SEO and SEM, right? So social media in general is its own breed. We don't actually do management for that. We provide consulting for it. Mm-hmm. We help business owners figure out the clarity for it and start publishing themselves.
You don't want my Facebook posts on your business page.
Right? But the thing is on the SEO element aspect, they both are puzzles and pieces that come together. So if you're writing blog content on your actual website, it is imperative and it's important for you to share that content inside your social media platforms. Again, if you've watched other videos from us before, we are huge on scheduling. So like this guy's going to give me a crash course on Hootsuite this weekend because I've been doing a lot of stuff manually. But what I would say is one tidbit is do not machine gun your social media. So what I mean by this is if you have a software or you publish one thing on your business page, do not immediately share it into your personal page, because what's going to happen is your end user is going to get a double whammy of the exact same content. And believe it or not, people are tolerant of a lot of stuff, but in social media, they're actually becoming less and less tolerant of that specifically. So if you have a blog post, you go and you share it inside your social media platform in your business page, and then you go share it into your personal page, they might actually just mentally check you out and never go and read the article or never click into the article. And then all of a sudden you've lost an end user of data before they even started. Does that make sense?
And similarly with that shotgun approach, not just from the personal end of things, but also the other platforms, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, Google posts, all that kind of stuff. When you make a posting on one platform, you should not be duplicating out to the other ones. Usually you're going to have some overlap between your fan base that they might be following you in multiple different platforms. So go ahead and schedule it out. Maybe there's a 15-minute delay. Maybe there's an hour delay. When we make a post on our website, for example, So a lot of people that follow Kim follow me, and vice versa.
I love he named me first, y'all. Love that he named me. That's a color popping.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that follow Kim that would never follow me.
Well, let's just clarify real quick. Let's put a box around Conor. So where you go and you friend request Conor, he sends you a disclaimer if he has not already. If you did not get one, you're very lucky.
Very lucky. Yes.
But he sends us a disclaimer to say, hey, like my private page is my private page, which I'm totally boshing his wordage. But he's like, I post everything and anything, and I might offend you. So if you think you're going to be easily offended, don't friend request me, right? So then what they do is they go and they like me, and they put my information into their things, and then so that's the double whammy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, my thing is always how far can I push the envelope?
Yeah.
There was a comedian years ago, and I can't remember his name. Craig Ferguson.
Oh, how did you not remember that guy's name? He's so funny.
One of the things in his stand-up, we've seen him in concert a couple times and in shows, and one of his things was he wants to push that joke over and over and over again until there's only one person in the room laughing, because that was his target audience for the joke. And when he does it, you can watch the entire audience just start to shut up. You start to get quieter and quieter and just shrink in, and then you have one guy laughing. Usually me. Yeah.
And usually Conor's verbiage right then is like, oh, did I take it too far? And then he goes another one, right? Until he gets that last person to stop laughing. And then it's done. The show's over.
So where were we?
I know,
I'm
right?
lost now.
It's back to one-page website.
We've got a couple of comments on here. You've got them over there.
I do not.
Yes, you do. That one there.
Okay. Yeah. So Emily said, let's see. Oh, yay. I'm glad to hear this, because it's been how I've been able to approach my web, or it's been how she's been. I should not be the one reading.
You go ahead and stop.
You read. Who needs the glasses? It was the boob punch earlier.
That's what it was?
Yeah, I think so.
So Emily said, oh, yay. I'm glad to hear this because it's how I've been approaching my website. So she was talking about that. Building onto the website, adding pages as you go. That's a great way of doing it. Emily, keep at it. Keep rocking.
So really quickly, just to give her a pipe on this Facebook Live, I'm part of the mastermind that Ellen with Visceral Brand does. And Emily's part of that, right?
Okay.
So Emily actually helps helps businesses find the right talent. She helps them do job descriptions and figure out who is it that they want to add to the team. So Emily, if you're still live, put your actual website URL or your Facebook down below, because we actually have a lot of business owners that are lean and mean, that are looking for that next either contractor, freelancer, and or they want to add somebody part-time, full-time, whatever. So feel free to put that information. I'm glad she was able to chime in.
And Laura's here. Hi, Laura. How you doing?
Hey, Laura. So then Emily came back and said, plus the machine gun approach to social media is so annoying. I would touche that. Yeah. When I see it, like if it keeps happening, what I do is I just go and unfollow the person. I still like them, right? But I go and unfollow so it doesn't come into my newsfeed automatically. Because it can get pretty annoying, especially if it's the same stuff over and over and over, if that makes sense.
So where I was going with all of that before, until I got off track. Was that we'll have something that will be posted on our business page, and we have certain followers on our business page. Yeah. And then usually it's a couple hours later, either I'll post or you'll post and share out to your fan base. And then usually anywhere between 8 to 12 hours later, the other person will share whatever it is out to their fan base. Yeah. That way, then again, we have people that are going to follow me, follow Kim, and follow the business. And if we hit them all with the same post over and over again, it's too much. And then you copy everything out onto Twitter and you put stuff out on YouTube and it gets overkill. So watch your social media.
Yeah. And I would also say really quickly that also if you are posting on Instagram and it automatically posts to Facebook, make sure that you actually read what you're posting in Facebook, right? So I see this happen a lot where it's an automatic cross post and it says, the link in the comments is in the such and such section. And I assume, we don't do Instagram, but I assume that that's how Instagram's laid out. So make sure you go back in and you customize it for Facebook. And if you can, always put the link inside the comments in after the post, right? So if you're giving them information, put the link into the comments so they have easy access. So the thought process is people just want to get it to it quick and easy. But guys, that was it for today. So Emily, thank you so much for putting the post in there, for sure.
Can I recap just briefly?
Yeah, of course you can. You have to go watch the beginning to figure out why I just sniffed him, guys. I'm just saying, you have to figure it out.
So going all the way back.
I'm like a cat.
Yeah, you can stop.
Too far. See how he said earlier, he tells a joke till it's too far. All I got to do is touch him too much in public, and he's like,
yeah.
Not the good, the bad.
Yeah. Going all the way back. Micro websites, generally the old school micro websites are a bad way of doing things. If you have a one-page website for your business, it's perfectly fine to do.
Yeah.
Add content, modify content on there. I'm not a fan of it, and Google is not really a fan of the one-page website.
Yeah.
Because you're sending mixed messages as to what's actually involved in that one page.
Really quickly, can I actually explain that? So what you're doing is you're saying, this is who you are. This is all the services or all the services that you provide.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the reviews of the services that you provide. Oh, by the way, here's where I'm located at. Oh, by the way, here's my contact form to fill out. Oh, by the way, call me today. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's multiple different lanes in one page, if that makes sense. Just explain that.
And usually with like the services, for example, take the hairdressers, for example.
Yeah.
Sorry, Laura, I'm using you as an example.
Woo-hoo!
So you've got regular haircuts, and then you've got
much shaved haircuts. Then you got hair color,
then you
and
got hair coloring and extensions.
And perms. Do they still do perms? Laura, do people still do perms? I don't know.
Might.
Like,
but basically, if you put all those things onto one page, and then you've got all the other stuff, the about me and the company information, you're confusing Google as to what your page is actually about.
Right.
So that's where having multiple pages, a 3-page or a 5-page website, you could now split those services into different sections, and it'll get you better SEO.
Yep.
So when I say that Google is not happy about that, it's mainly from an SEO perspective that it's not the best approach to get the best bang for your buck.
Yep, agreed.
A one-page website does work, depends on the industry. You know, the hair industry or the salon industry, you know, generally you land on the page, just find the appointment, book the appointment, see, okay, yeah, they can do these kind of things.
Yep.
Get me the book appointment, and then I'm out.
Yep.
So one page works really well in that, but it's not awesome from an SEO perspective, and that's where you want the additional pages.
And really quickly, he just gave a gem. So if you are in an industry where you actually take appointments, here's a clue. If your software actually says the word appointment, it's really important for you to put a book appointment or schedule appointment versus contact. There is a deciphered difference in the search engine specifically, as well as end users. There's a difference between contact because they want to ask a question, book an appointment because they want to actually book an appointment to do it now, right? So there's two. It's kind of a little complicated, but we'll have to do a different video on that one for sure.
Just
we
even
dive
on,
in really deep.
Even on context of words, there's a difference between schedule an appointment and book an appointment. Yep. Those are different.
Yep.
You know, so
not to throw a curve.
That's going to be
that's a totally different one. That might be a good one for our strategy coming up. Yeah.
Maybe we can use that one.
Yeah.
So, anyways, one-page websites perfectly fine to do. Keep adding to them.
It's better to start than not have. I would say if you had to choose between not having a website and a one-page website, go for the one-page website, right? If you're worried about having too much content, if you're in WordPress, we can help you. Right. But then in addition to it, there's different design elements where you can do like accordion styles where you put information and then they can expand the information and then it shrinks back up. Right. So it doesn't seem so overwhelming to the end user whenever they're scrolling. One interesting thing that we shared this week with a prospect meeting from your Google experience was a lot of people are making the mobile designs so small and having less information on them because they have a fear that people are not willing to scroll. But actually, when you were on the Google campus, you actually got information that people are actually willing to scroll on mobile. They're actually, it's their behavior to scroll, which was kind of like a myth out there in the world for a while.
Yeah, it was interesting to get that information because we've been taught that, you know, make your website as fast as possible on mobile, which that is required. But then the other side of the coin is that people are used to scrolling. You look at Facebook, you look at Instagram, they're scrolling all the time. And on a website, people are happy to scroll. So maybe on a mobile phone, it is more one-page style.
Yeah.
But keep in mind that Google does operate on a mobile indexing first.
Yep.
So Google is going to take how your mobile phone operates and use that for the ranking signals as to how you're going to show in the search engines.
And within that,
which is a topic for a different day.
But within that is speed. Speed is the #1 factor right now. That's it. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any outstanding questions, feel free to throw them below in the comments. We will try to circle back around or address it in another video or blog post. In the meantime, feel free to follow us on Facebook as well as Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like, we've got some fun stuff coming coming out, which we're super excited about.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working on that. And in the meantime, have a great weekend. Hopefully you get some relaxation and some recharging before the holidays time. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in.
Are we here next week?
We might pop in for a casual like Thanksgiving
leftover sandwiches.
Yeah. Anyway, see, he tried to get out of the Facebook. He's like throwing me a curveball. I'm like, wait a minute, stop it. Okay. Anyway, in the meantime, thank you so much, everybody, and we wish you guys all the best, and we will chat with you soon.
Thanks for joining, guys. We appreciate it. Have a great day now. Thank you.